Hello and welcome back. You will notice that in this video I started with a little bit of a different chart here, and there is a very important reason for that. I will explain. This is not going to be your typical video when we are examining like free cash flow and operating income, and we are basing our decisions a lot on these values because banks are different and financial institutes are very different. The reason being is that they are actually lending money, and so you cannot really rely on their free cash flow or their operating income just because they have a lot of liabilities. So, for example, they could be lending $1 million today and expect to get it back with interest in 10 years. And so you can see banks that have a lot of liabilities and a lot of negative values. However, they could be doing great because, again, banks have a totally different way of operations when you compare it to a typical company. And so, since we cannot really rely on the company's operating income or the company's cash flow, what are we looking for when we're going to decide whether to add the bank to our portfolio or not? I think that probably the best thing to look at is the assets of the company and compare them to the price. So, as you know, this is typically used with a ratio which is called price to book, so price per share divided by book per share. And the book value of the company is basically all the assets of the company minus all the liabilities of the company. Is what the company is actually hoarding in terms of assets and money. And so what we can do here is examine this ratio and compare it to the current price of the stock, and historically compare it to all the prices that we have seen fluctuating over the years for this stock. And you will notice here that this price to book ratio over here is drawn onto the diagram with using this blue line. So the blue line is the price to book value, and it's currently hovering at 1.4x. And if you have studied a little bit about the price to book ratio, whenever the price to book ratio is less than 1, typically it points to an undervalued company because we are paying less than what the company has in terms of assets in order to buy it. And when it's more, it tends to be a little bit overvalued because we're actually paying more for the current assets that the company has. Now, you cannot just typically invest in a company just using this metric because the company has a lot of growth. There are a lot of things that can potentially play into a typical company. However, with companies like banks, it would be nice, and it's fairly typical to look into getting a company near its 1.0 price to book value, if possible. Or at least a little bit higher, but not too high. Or at least try to get it at the lower level instead of the higher level. And so you will see here that if we actually bought the company when the price to book ratio was actually higher than the current price, we would have been making a lot of money over here, because eventually these lines tend to be near each other, so diverge a little bit. And so you'll see here, yet in all these years, Goldman Sachs was a bargain when you compared it to the price to book value, because we could definitely get it when the price was lower than that. And again, if it's closer to 1.0, that's even better, because there is more of a potential upside. So the closer to this, the better it is for us. So right now, it looks like the price to book value is around here, but the current price of the stock is flying high, and so it looks like we're having a more expensive stock right now. And again, it's obviously your decision, but for me, this is a little bit expensive to enter here. I would like it to go down and kind of try to diverge again to be closer to this line. I don't want to see that much of a difference, because if something goes wrong, this can very easily go down. So that's an interesting way to potentially trade a company like Goldman Sachs here. And another interesting concept that you want potentially to be using for this kind of metrics, you could even use the price to tangible book value, which is basically the same concept minus some things like goodwill, for instance, which could be adding extra book value. That's why we use it for, but I'm not gonna get into that much detail here. But that's the concept that you can use. You could actually draw the tangible price to book value here if you really wanted to. But this is a very quick method to actually evaluate whether you could potentially want to enter a financial stock based on the current assets of the company, because again, you don't really have a lot in terms of what the company is worth from the operations. You cannot really deduce that. However, there are still some things that we need and want to examine from the company. For example, we want to examine the revenue of the company over here in the income statement. We want to see it growing, because that's irrelevant to how much the company is spending or making from loans. We still want to buy a company that has growing revenue, and this is exactly what's happening with Goldman Sachs. So that's nice. And the things here like net income again could be a variable, and I'm not sure you would want to pay too much attention to these values. However, you would want to pay a lot of attention to the balance sheet. That's important. And we can see that the balance sheet of the company, with the total equity of the company, seems to be growing and keeps to be growing. Again, that's not the most important thing, because banks are highly leveraged institutions, and so you can see that they have a lot of liabilities, for example, just because this is the way they leverage their profits, really. And this is how banks operate. And so cash flow, you would expect to see it in the negative, and if you would be right, because again, this is what's happening with banks, and I wouldn't pay much attention to this. Or cash from investing, yeah, the company is investing obviously as well in market securities, which is interesting to notice. Looks like Goldman Sachs knew that in 2020 things would be nice to buy, because they went down, I guess. This is when I bought myself too, so that makes a lot of sense, because I still remember it was like March 2020 when there was a crash, and I was very happy to see that. I already had a lot of stock, but what I did and what you should do is actually buy more. That's how it works when there is a crash of that sort. It was a small crash, really, but still, it fell down like 30%, 25%, something like that. And cash from financing here, again, this is something that you would be ashamed to see in a normal company, but in a bank, that's to be expected. There's a lot of debt being handled here, as you can see, so that's totally fine for banks. And the other thing that I think is very, very interesting to examine for banks in this situation when we're buying a company of that sort is the dividends that the company is actually potentially paying to us. And the dividends, the payout ratio for the dividends, which is like 2.10% also, is 11.24, which is very low. The company has a lot of money to spend for covering dividends. And that's also a pointer that's pointing to a company that's very healthy, and you could potentially add to your portfolio expecting it to give you a lot of nice dividends over the years. That's another nice thing to see. And you will see that they have actually increased the dividend a lot in the past few years, and that's actually pointing to increasing profit and net income, really. So this is, I think, what I wanted to talk about when we're examining Goldman Sachs. I like the company. I think the company is very viable. I don't think they will have any imminent issues, unless, of course, there is some sort of a massive crash in which all the banks tend to go down for a long time. If not, some of them may default even. So that's a little bit of a danger with banks. Again, highly leveraged institutes. If society has trouble with debt, then banks can very, very easily go down as well. Some of them, at least. So aside from that, if things are normal and continue to be normal, I think that's a good investment. But I'd like to get it at a lower valuation. As I mentioned again, you can have a little bit of of an extra that you want to be giving for a company, but I always prefer to be getting it at lower prices and just wait, because there is always a better opportunity waiting out there. So while I think you can buy Goldman Sachs and do well in terms of income from the dividend yield, if you wait a little bit and if it goes down, you can get it at like 250 or 300. Then you are getting an increased dividend yield because you're getting more stock for your buck, and so that's going to increase your yield as well. So you may want to wait a little bit. Regardless of that, I think the company is great, is good, and it's a good addition for a portfolio. But it's expensive to buy right now. So there is always a price for things. So it doesn't mean that the thing is bad just because it's it has a price. However, it can be overpriced or underpriced. And so you don't want to buy something too expensive, and because that will cut down on your potential profits in the future. And so if you can get at a lower valuation, I think it's a great investment. At the current valuation, I think it's an okay, potentially okay investment with a little bit of a risk though. That's what I feel about Goldman Sachs. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, and that helped you a little bit with deciding about Goldman Sachs, and you can actually use this concept for pretty much every other bank as well. And leave a comment below, let me know, and like the video, that would help. And subscribe, because there's gonna be a lot more. And if you did enjoy, you may want to take a look at this video that I made about Be Big, which is Visco Ventures, and I'm explaining a little bit about this company and whether it's a potentially interesting play for new investors or old investors. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.